is with us. Kaylee is in Colorado Springs. Hi, Kaylee. How are you?
Hi, Dave. I'm great. How are you?
Better than I deserve. How can Rachel and I help?
Thank you for taking my call. So I'm calling because my husband and I just sold our home, and we're about to finish baby step 2 with the profits from that.
Great.
And we will have $7,000 left over after we pay our debt off.
Great.
We wanted to, instead of directly going into baby step 3, his mom had helped us quite a bit when he was newly enlisted in the Army and not making a lot of money yet. So we wanted to give her $5,000 because she's out of work right now with COVID and struggling a little bit. My question is, when we called her to let her know we were going to send that, she had always given us money as a gift and said she didn't want to ever be paid back. And when we told her we were going to send her $5,000, she kind of acted like, oh, that's all. So now we're kind of worried about straining that relationship with her, and we're wondering if we should send her more and not pay off all of our debt right now and kind of work on it the rest of this year, or if we should pay off all of our debt still and maybe give her more money later down the road.
Kelly, is this an assumption that that's how she felt from her tone, or did she say with her words, did you guys ask questions and have a more in-depth conversation so you know exactly what she's thinking?
So we tried to. She kind of just said, well, I'm so happy for you guys. I want you to be out of debt, but, she has a lot of debt herself, and she's having a really hard time. We also know, though, even though she's out of work, she is single. She lives for free with her sister, who's a retired nurse. So she's got a roof over her head. She has food to eat. She just makes a lot of poor decisions with the money that she does make. So we want to be generous. We don't want to enable that because we don't agree with the choices that she makes. But, we don't want to strain the relationship. We don't want to, she said, that's fine, give me $5,000 and, pay off your debt and we'll worry about me later. And
that's what she said.
That's going to be we're worried that's going to be a never ending thing.
Yeah.
And we don't want to be supporting her bad decisions here.
Yeah. Well, I think that there's levels of communication that have to be had, and there's going to be boundaries that you guys are going to set. And so to be as Dave Ramsey sitting next to me would always say in life, to be unclear is to be unkind. And so from the story you've told me, she has given you guys money in the past to help you, but she said, I never want it repaid. Now you guys are in a better situation financially. You're getting your debt paid off. You have some extra cash, and you think, okay, we're going to bless her and give her a gift to help her during this hard time. Partly because, yes, she helped us in the past, but this is our gift to her, no strings attached. So what you have to realize is that if there is a gift that you guys feel like you want to give her, there has to be no strings attached. You're going to know that she's probably going to mismanage this money. And if you give her more, that's the more she's going to mismanage that money. And so if there's a amount that you guys want to give and say, hey, again, because of the situation you're in, we're choosing to give you this, but Mom, here's the plan. We, as a couple, are getting out of debt. We're going through the baby steps. And once we get out of and if you would like to come along this journey with us and you want to go through Ramsey Plus and you want to take some online classes and budget and you start doing these things, we'd love to walk beside you. But we want this money to be a blessing to you and not a curse.
Yeah.
So here's the deal. If you give her $5,000 or you give her $15,000, it doesn't change a thing. Does it?
No.
So you can't give her enough money because you don't have enough money for her problems to go away.
Right.
So give her $5,000 and tell her, let your husband handle this. This is his mom. You can't handle it. You are the daughter-in-law, which means when you talk, it doesn't go well. So you need to be real quiet. He needs to handle this with his mom. Very, very slow cadence of speech, deep octave. which indicates
Okay.
that he's feeling very calm and very strong. Mom, I love you, and we are so excited that we're getting out of debt. We're going to give you this $5,000. When you gave us the other money, you said it was a gift with no strings, and we're giving you this money as a gift with no strings. We're not going to be able to do this very often, or maybe never again, and we would like to help you in other ways and let you go along with us on this journey that we're going on. You may or may not want to do that, but if you wanted to go through Financial Peace and Ramsey Plus, Mom will pay for it for you as a part of, and we'll add that to the $5,000. But Mom, I'm not repaying everything you gave me, because when you gave it to me, you told me it was a gift. And let yourself be free of her little guilt trip that she laid. Cut the tie on that clean. Otherwise, she's going to keep coming back to the well, and she's going to feel entitled to come back to the well because he didn't cut the apron strings. So the only reason she's misbehaving here is because she's scared and she's broke. If this woman had money, she actually is silly generous, because she gave you money probably she didn't have back then, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she's not a bad person that breaks her promises. She's just a scared person. And I really am going to have to let her fear that is leading her to shame me lay over there in her house, not in my house. That's the boundary. That sounds very mean or very tough, but there's not enough money to stop this from happening, and there is no end to this thread if you pull it on this sweater. Am I right, Kaylee?
Yes, that's right. That's what we're worried about.
Yeah. He has to handle this, not you. You don't even need to be on the phone,
Okay.
because you're going to end up being the Wicked Witch of the West in this story if you are. And I don't want you to get that reputation in this situation. I want you to be free of it. A matter of fact, if she's mad at somebody, I'd rather her be mad at her son than her daughter-in-law, because that's harder for her to do. This is not a bad person. She's scared and she's out of control. And if you can help her get in control, like Rachel said, and not be scared, that's going to be worth $50,000 to her, not $5,000. But you really can't. You don't have any money. You don't have enough money to change this woman's life. Now, later on, if you've got $1 million and you want to give her $100,000 and straighten her life up, you can change her life doing that. She'll still go back and screw it up, but you can change her life. But right now, you don't have the difference in what you can do that strains you versus the $5,000 is not a difference maker in this story. It doesn't change the story. So I'd stick with the 5, and I'd lay down a boundary, clip the apron strings, and offer to cheerlead and help and walk through Ramsey Plus Financial Peace University together with her. That's what I would do if I were in your shoes. These are some of the most difficult conversations that people ever have around money. I think this kind of conversation is even harder than a marital conversation.
Because of the relationship between a parent and a child, and you're taking care of the parent. It's like role reversal feeling.
Well, and just the dynamic of it. I mean, I diapered you. You owe me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I bought you school clothes. I worked 3 extra jobs when you were 12 years old, and you owe me. No, that was kind of your job. No, it's not how this works.
But there is something.
Your child is not enslaved to you forever based on your freaking misbehavior.
No, but maybe the next break we'll talk about it after the break. But how to honor your parents?
Yeah, you can do that. You can do that,
like.
But it's just the assumption of some of these guilt-tripping parents
I agree.
is beyond
I'm with
belief.
You. Totally.
All right, going into that break, we're talking about moms or dads asking for money or asking for help.
Yeah, and I just think it's an interesting discussion because there's a level of unhealthiness that a parent can have to say, oh, yeah, I'm entitled to some of your money as a child, and expect their adult children to help them. But there also is the beauty in helping your parents. If you've worked this plan and you're out of debt, you have an emergency fund and you're building wealth. And so we're just talking about, like, what's the balance of not enabling bad behavior if they choose to do poor things with money, but yet being able to bless and help your parents.
Well, and you can add to the conversation, those of us that are Christians, we see clearly in the Bible, honor your father and mother.
Yep. So,
Honor them.
as people that are listening, listeners out there, of how to direct them and doing that well, if that's something that they choose to do.
Okay. So it's a little bit like honoring the president. Okay. If you do that, you may very well disagree with the person that's in office, their politics, their procedures, their theology, their beliefs, their values, whatever. But you still honor the office of the president. And you pray for the president, even if you disagree with them dramatically. We've lost a lot of that in our country, and we've lost this other thing. So you can honor the office of fatherhood or motherhood without honoring misbehavior. So an extreme example, your dad is doing cocaine, and he keeps asking you for money. Well, unless you're completely screwed in the head, you're released from the obligation to give a cocaine addict money. I mean,
right.
So now, how do you honor father that's a cocaine addict? I mean, how do you do that? Well, you have to honor the fact that he's dad, the father, but you don't honor the cocaine part, and you don't participate in that part by funding it.
Right.
And so a much more minor example, someone who's just like that last lady, is misbehaving with money. She makes bad money decisions, her daughter-in-law said, and she has throughout her whole life, and she lives in her sister's house because she doesn't even have a place to live, because she's not even taking care of her money enough to maintain the dignity of that. And it's all because of choices, according to the story we heard.
Right.
So we can honor mom. We can honor her generosity towards this couple early in their marriage when he's first in the military, and that, as she said. But we don't have to honor her situation. We don't have to honor her behavior. We can just honor her and love her right where she is. And so it's a little bit of love the sinner, hate the sin kind of a thing. And so that allows you to be kind, but it also allows you to separate the behavior and not become an enabler and giving someone money that is not helping. If it's not helping,
right,
you're an enabler. That's what it comes down to. And you're falling for guilt trips, and you've got a toxic environment, and I'm afraid I won't have a relationship with them. If you have to pay for a relationship, that's called prostitution. It's not a real relationship. It's not. I mean, if you have to have paid for friends, you don't have real friends. And so if the only way your mom talks to you is you give her money, this relationship was gone a long time ago.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's time to call it. And so you are not morally, spiritually obligated to give anyone money. Anyone. Except minor children that are yours. You're morally obligated, spiritually obligated to take care of children, your own especially. But you are not obligated to take care of your sibling. You're not obligated to take care of your uncle, your grandmother, your mother, your grown child who continually misbehaves and is 31 and living in your basement. You're not morally or spiritually obligated. Now, we love them, even the stupid ones, and, we do. Yeah. And we can honor the fact that this is my brother, my sister, this is my mother, this is whatever, right? You can honor that, but you don't have to honor the stupidity. And you don't have to fund it to prove that you love them or to give them honor. Giving honor is separate from giving them money. They're two different things. And it's very difficult to separate, especially when someone is a travel agent for guilt trips and they just call you up and go, well, I did this for you and now you leave me out here on the street.
You feel terrible.
And, I'm afraid if I don't give my daughter money that my grandbabies won't have any money to eat, any food to eat, because that's what she tells me. Like the mother that calls her mother and says, Mom, I need some money. If you don't give me some money, your grandbabies aren't going to eat. Well, that's just low blow right there. So, because they feel entitled. I talk to people on the inheritance issue, that they feel entitled to their parents' money upon their death. It's not yours.
Yeah.
You don't have an entitlement to it. You don't have a right to it. Leaving an inheritance is a choice of the person who owns the money, not the person receiving it. And so, this concept that somehow you hit the DNA lottery by being in someone's family is false. And so But then the problem is, as you navigate it, it's always a very rough conversation because you can never give enough. And when you finally realize that, then you also find out that that this whole thing was ragged out anyway, and it wasn't going to work.
Yeah.
And then the relationship goes sideways. And so you can give somebody money for 10 years and then stop, and they'll not speak to you. Because they've become entitled.
It's a short-term Band-Aid over some bigger issues,
and
for sure.
Eventually this runs out. Eventually somebody runs out of money somewhere, or patience, or something. And so that's what, Dr. Henry Cloud's book, The Boundaries, is the Bible for this discussion, and being able to set boundaries in place. Now, the truth is that our family, my family and Sharon's family, have not been an issue. They've been happy for us that we've become successful financially, and they don't all line up at the door wanting money. As a matter of fact, none of them have ever asked us for a dime, ever. That's pretty weird, honestly. But it's a blessing.
Yeah.
So we're not discussing like I have a friend. It's really me. We're not doing that. This is, and our kids are self-sufficient. You guys don't come to us for money, and we certainly don't come to you for money and that kind of stuff. So it's but if one of your cousins needed help on something, their kid had a medical thing or whatever, we would be there in a heartbeat. But they're not the type of people that would lay that out as an expectation that we would be there. It would be it's not generosity if you're shamed into it.
Mm.
Is that
totally
what
changes
you're talking about?
the spirit of it. Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Because I think, or at least I have friends, and we've talked about, okay, so how do we honor our parents if kids have become more successful than their parents financially?
Yeah.
What does that look like? And so having that discussion is just fascinating. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
So
most of the parents don't care.
Yeah.
Like, I know a situation like that is a good friend of both of ours, and he paid his dad's house off the other day just to watch his dad cry. He wanted to see his dad cry. It was fabulous. It was just an act of generosity, though.
Yeah.
And Dad had in no way inferred that he was due that.
Yep. It's good.